of you that have competed in MVA, you understand that it can be a little complicated. The bare bones basics of MVA is you come to nationals. It is a week-long event. Everybody's doing pre-shows, pre-trials, and then nationals starts. And we have our dogs entered in a lot of different things. What we've got here is kind of the definition of the most versatile award and why we feel it's so important to the competition. But the real crux of qualifying in MVA at nationals is you must have 1 Q in livestock. You must have a qualifying score in one of the performance events. Doesn't matter which one, you just have to have one. And then you must receive a score for the confirmation evaluation. And that will get you a Q in MVA. And I know it sounds simple, but usually our Q rate is less than 50% at nationals. So it's not easy. It's tough to take a dog halfway across the country and expect him to compete and do well, you know, after he's sat at a place that's not his home for a week. So it's not an easy thing to do. Any Q in MVA should be applauded and congratulated. Over the years, the MVA committee has wrestled with several, I guess, questions that came up, things that we felt were issues, and we've talked about them over the years, but, you know, it just seemed difficult to try and, you know, change what we were doing. And the biggest issue that we came up with is over the years, I think all of us have either experienced or seen issues of teams being accurately rewarded for the performance. Whether it's, you know, being awarded points appropriately for competing at a higher level or competing in competing at a higher level or doing more things or having a higher score within a class. For a long time, the committee has really felt that one of the biggest issues with the MVA program was the 5-point extra Q. And we'll talk specifically about that in just a few minutes. The other thing that, you know, the committee always wrestles with is how do we balance the skill sets that dog and handler teams learn? And, you know, as years go by, your expertise increases. What we always felt was an issue with the MVA scoring was that things were not balanced. The performance was, it seemed like you could get a lot more points from the performance events than you could even from stock work. And then the confirmation evaluation was even less. So we'll talk about that in a second. We've got a really good graphic that kind of shows what our current distribution of points is and where we've taken it with this new scoring system. And then lastly, the main thing that we've always wanted to address is make this easier. You know, I do this every year, and most people say, thank goodness you do this every year because I don't know if I know how to do it. It's one of those things that you kind of, once you learn the system, okay, then you can do it. But what we had developed and what was in the current system was each venue was scored a different way. And we'll talk about that in just a second. And then we wanted to get to something simpler, something that, you know, the competitor themselves could kind of pencil out their score pretty quickly. So we feel like we've come to a method that's going to allow us to make those changes. So here's kind of just a recap of the issues we felt we had and that we wanted to fix. The extra cues, stock and performance of events. We didn't really feel like the work that teams were doing, particularly to the advanced levels, was not being rewarded fairly. We wanted to make sure that the percentage of scores coming from stock and the confirmation evaluation were increased. And then we just wanted to make sure that the competition was a little more easier to calculate. All right, so first let's talk a little bit about the extra cues and teams not being rewarded accurately for the work and the expertise that they were garnering, in their careers. First example that I'd like to show you, and this is an actual example, by the way. The dogs' names have been changed to protect the innocent, but this was two teams that competed in 2019. Two started dogs, and these were their actual scores. And I believe it's cattle, sheep, and ducks. So if you look at the actual scores, okay, these were both of their highest scores. And the way we currently calculate MVA, you take the highest score, and then your other cues, you get a 5-point cue. So for this dog, it was 90 and then plus 10. So he got 100 points. This dog, she got 87.5 plus 10 points. So 97.5. But if you look at the actual points earned by the dogs, this dog, the three scores total 241. This dog, the three scores total 253. So I don't think in anybody's book that's fair that this dog should get a lower MVA score than this other dog. And we routinely saw instances of this happening just due to the 5-point cue situation. Example number 2 is a little bit more along the lines of, as dog and handler teams increase in their level of expertise, they should be scoring higher. So this is two different teams and the classes that they were competing in. Ironman and Pepper are our two dogs that we're talking about. Both of them happen to be competing in elite agility. Both of them ran 2 runs. Ironman is only in novice obedience and he's in rally advanced. Okay, he had 1 clean elite run, so he got a 195 for that. And then he cued in the other 3 things, so got 5 points each, or a total of 210. Pepper is running the same level of agility. She's in elite as well, but she's competing in utility and ODX, and she's running Masters Rally. But under the current system, it just so happened that her highest score, if you go by the calculations, was her utility score. She scored a 195, and then she also got 3 extra cues, or 3 times 5 points, 210. But she's competing at a much higher level. So again, this is one of the situations that the committee routinely saw happening over the years, and we just didn't feel like it was being fairly rewarded. The next issue, and this is kind of the current or the old system. If you took a look at a dog that, was at the upper level of everything, and they competed in everything they could compete at the highest level, the percentage of points coming from performance events was 77%. Stock scores only accounted for 13% of their total possible score, and the confirmation evaluation was only 10%. Very unbalanced, and we wanted to change that picture. Then the third issue that we had talked about was, things are just scored differently. Stock, we multiplied the advanced scores times 6%. We left open as it was. We left started as it was. In obedience, we added 10 points to utility, left open as it was, subtracted points from novice, which I have never been a fan of subtracting points from anything. The optics just aren't very nice about that. And rally, the same thing. We subtracted points from the levels. And then we just assigned point values to the agility runs. So everything was done a little differently. It was hard to keep track of. It was hard to know what you were doing and how to add up your score. All right, so in our new system that's been approved, what we're going to focus on is there's going to be 2 sets of points that you earn for each qualifying score in whatever venue it is. So we're going to award Q points for the event and the level that it is. You'll receive a certain number of Q points, and the committee has kind of weighted the Q points across the venues to try and help even things out and holistically balance the skill sets, if you will. So that replaces those 5-point extra Qs, which, if you really looked at the old system, it was a method to reward mediocrity by just, awarding 5-point extra Qs. Yeah, gamesmanship was pretty good. You could figure out what you wanted to spend your time training your dog in and what you wanted to spend your time just barely qualifying. But we were able to get rid of that with this system. Then we also decided to double the amount of the confirmation evaluation, which would bump up that percentage of the score in the big picture. And then we also have what we call score points. And I'll show you how those work in just a moment, which allows you to be rewarded at the, 2 different dogs competing at the same level. The higher score is going to get rewarded at a higher rate. So we'll talk about some particulars and the details. All right, so the very first thing to keep in mind is that stock is the only venue that we award Q points to all 3 runs. So if you entered your dog in 3 runs of stock, whatever level you're at, you will earn Q points for a qualifying score. If you're in agility, you're only going to earn the Q points for your first Q. The second run, if you qualify, you're only going to earn the score points. And we'll talk about that. I'll show you some examples. We'll work through some examples to show you how the scoring works. But this graph kind of details out how we've labeled and awarded Q points to the various venues. And the MVA committee, we have conversations all the time. What skills do we feel are the toughest? What skills are the most difficult for the dog to learn? And as you can see from kind of how we laid out the Q points, we feel like obedience is the toughest set of skills that a dog and handler team can learn. Utility will earn you 70 Q points if you can get a Q in utility. Before everybody goes, hey man, I'm going to get in utility and Q. I think the entire time, let's see, this year will be my 9th time to score MVA. And I think I've had 3 people qualify in utility over the years in those 8 years that I've scored. So it's not easy. So that's exactly why we awarded the highest number of Q points to utility. Right behind that, we feel like agility is the second highest skill set of the performance events because, you're working with distance, you're working with obstacle discrimination, and then you have to make time. So it's a complex event. And then, of course, rally kind of comes in 3rd place. We feel like rally, the handler's always there. Even at the upper levels, you have the opportunity to kind of have some input verbally with the dog. It's not like obedience. Once your run starts, you have to be quiet. You don't have the ability to, offer encouragement, that sort of thing. So that's why rally kind of tucks in here at 3rd place, if you will, in the Q point levels. Tracking is kind of its own animal. Because tracking is a pass or fail, and there's not really a way to assign Q points or score points to it. We had to go with just point values for a pass-fail. The TDX and UTDX earns you 100, and the TDU and the TD will earn you 80. There again, the 8 times I've scored MVA prior to this, I think I've seen 2 qualifying scores in tracking in the MVA competition. So it's not an easy event. Not an easy event to travel across the country and do, let alone, have it be one of your MVA scores. The second part of your score is going to be what we call score points. So in stock, back to that example, let's say you are in advanced cattle and you get a 108. What you would earn there is 108 minus 88. So you'd earn 50 points for the Q and 20 points for your score. So you earn 70 points for that advanced cattle score. If you're also in advanced sheep and you Q with, say, a 105, you get 50 plus, what is that, 17? Sorry, I'm a little slow on the math today. Yeah, 17 points. So you'd get 67 points for your advanced sheep run. In agility, if you've got a clean run, your first run was a clean run, you'd get 60 plus 20 points for the clean run. If your second run was a 5-point Q, you knocked 1 bar, you'd earn 10 points. So grand total from agility, you earned 80 plus 10 or 90. And grand total at elite that you can earn in agility is 100. And same thing for rally. Let's say you're competing at the masters and excellent level. If you get a 200 in masters, you get 50 plus 30 is 80. But then in excellent, let's say you scored a 95 or 195. You get 25 points for that. You do not get the Q points. You just get the score points. All right. What questions do we have on the scoring? I can't have done that good a job.
Well, you were very good. I was very confused until you explained it, but I get it now.
Okay. All right. And we've got a couple examples, so hang in there for me for just a moment. Now, this is where the committee feels like we've done a really good job with this new program. Back to, if you've got a dog that is at the upper level of every event and they compete at every upper level, this is how the points have been redistributed. Stock can now be 33% of your total score. Performance events are 46%, and confirmation evaluation is 21%. So a much more balanced, holistic view to the point total. All right, let's take a look back at our previous examples and see how the points fall out under the new system. So back to Batman and Catwoman. In this, the way things score now, here are their actual scores. And then the grid shows you what Q points they got, what score points they got, and what their totals were. And at the end of the day, this is where Batman falls. This is where Catman falls, or Catwoman falls. She's rewarded 12.5 points more, as she should be, because she was a more consistent performer, a little bit higher scores on the average. And then our example with Iron Man and Pepper. Here was the scoring under the old system, and here's the scoring under the new system. Iron Man gets 185 points for his performance events, and Pepper gets 257 because she's at much higher levels. higher rate or higher level of expertise. So just trying to achieve that that accuracy and rewarding teams for moving on and moving up in level. So we feel like this system has helped us achieve that as well. So I know it's already been voted on, and I know it's already been approved, but we would still like your feedback and support. As you guys think about this, as you maybe as you come to nationals and you compete with us this year, I'm hoping I see a lot of your names on my spreadsheet. Definitely give me your thoughts and ideas about the system. We know it's a departure. I think a lot of the comments, sort of the tentative comments that came from people when this was announced earlier this week, I think it's about change. I know, Jan, you may be able to tell me better. I know the old system has been in place at least since 1998, 96. So it's been a long time, and finally making a change. All right. So any questions? Is there anything I can help anybody with? Anything you might want to walk
This is Debbie.
Yeah.
St. Jacques. Yeah, I think it sounds pretty good because I went in, let's see, with Bear, and he was 2 or something. So that was way back in 87, 88, in Texas. So I'm not sure which year it was, but he won most versatile all in started. And I was very happy about it, but it wasn't, that was the beginning. And so, of course, when we went to this system that we've had, I thought it was really good. It did encourage people to enter multiple things. But I did see that there was definitely some need to change. And I haven't been looked at the confirmation evaluation, but I have to say that I hope that's been changed a little. I felt that when I judged it, it was very hard for me to get the best, one of the best dogs out, to get the best score. I had a very hard time with that scoring. So anyway, I don't know because I haven't judged it for a while since Las Vegas. So all right, that's all. But I think
what you can do is go to the MVA rules on the ASCA site. The new form is in the back of the rules. It's part of the appendix, I believe. We did change it up a few years ago. We tried to mimic fairly closely the confirmation finals form. And so we bumped it up to 100 points total. We made sure that we called out the 5 disqualifying faults, just to make sure judges were paying attention to that. And then also left room for comments. So I know a lot of the judges, as they're going through, they like to make, written comments to the teams. So yeah, it's there. Check it out. See what you think.
Renee, I have a question.
This is Kathy Fretz. Obedience.
Yes.
Just because I saw you had utility and ODX there on the form, can a dog do ODX and CDX?
No. I believe that's part of the obedience rules. You have to pick one or the other open level at a particular trial.
That is correct.
Yeah. So yes, a dog can do utility and one of the opens, but you can't do 2 of the opens. Anything else?
I have some questions about MVA, but not related to scoring. So I don't know if that's an appropriate venue.
Sure. What? Tell us.
Okay. Conflicts. As you all know very well, conflicts are a problem when you're doing MVA. The premium this year says only that confirmation takes precedence. It says nothing about any of the other venues.
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to specify a precedence order for the other venues, possibly?
We never have. What we typically do is, ahead of time, I give you guys my cell phone number. And during the days that, we are competing, I can talk to the stewards for you. You can check in with the stewards. A lot of times what's been happening too, I see this particularly at the stock arenas, people are leaving their cell numbers with the stewards. And so they're letting them know when things are shutting down. Now, typically in order of, how you should kind of take a look at it is, at nationals, the classes are all large enough that they usually run for several hours. So you should typically be able to get everything in. I think like agility classes, I think they run for like half a day. Particularly elite. I think they do one round in the morning, the second round in the afternoon usually. Obedience gets a little tighter. Some of the upper level classes, utility and open, are a little smaller. Rally classes are very big. So what I would do, and the nice thing that we have going for us in Texas is the national stock trial is first. So all of your stock runs will be out of the way and completed before we even start anything else.
That's actually part of my concern because day 1 and day 2 are both finals days. And for example, in agility finals, you absolutely must run in order. If you're not at the gate when it is your run, you are forfeit. So pretty much anybody that's in agility finals, the odds of them getting a stock run in on day 2 of the stock trial are extremely low, unfortunately. Typically when you go over there to the stock, unless it just happens to be your turn, there's usually a line of several people and they're not flexible. They are not going to let you cut in. They don't care that you have to get back to the other venue.
Yeah.
That's just been my experience for many years. Sadly.
What day is the agility finals, Nikki?
It is on Monday, and the day before that is rally finals. So Stock Dog 1, day 1 is rally finals, and Stock Dog day 2 is agility finals. And I'm not sure on rally. It's been too many years since I've done rally finals. I think you have to run an order there too, but they're slightly more flexible than agility is.
Yeah.
That's a major concern with the stock trial being on the same day as 2 of the finals. I'm worried about that.
Yeah. That we will have to work out. And maybe what we can do is work with, and I forget who the Nationals course director is. Maybe it's Ray.
I think it is Ray.
Yeah. Let me talk with Ray and see if maybe we can have some pockets, like maybe just before lunchtime or something, that we could bring, those of you that are in the agility finals for sure, bring you guys over, get your runs in, and do something like that.
Okay. Or just if the other exhibitors would be a little more understanding, that would help as well. But
yeah.
I get the feeling that some people frown upon MVA competitors. They really do. That's just my experience.
Yeah.
I don't agree with it. I love MVA. It's great. But some people don't seem to like it.
Renee, this is Janet speaking. I had a question. When I was in MVA, you had to be at the judges' meeting, especially if you're in advanced classes, everywhere at 7 or 7:30, and you couldn't be at all the places at once to sign in and at one nationals we had on all our lists, there would be a C for conflict that was automatically included in the software. Is that possible?
Well, take a look at the Texas schedule, because I think it's a little more spread out than most schedules are. But
Okay.
you know, that is something that the individual teams have to work out with, you know, like just normal conflicts like that. Nikki's example of the agility finalist is a little different, just because of how strict they are about run order. So I do know that we will probably have to help them out that day. But
Okay, but somehow every MVA competitor on whatever list they were on, there was a C already put on.
yeah,
So the gate stewards knew that there might be a conflict. That's
Didn't
all.
we do that one year in one of the Texas trials? I think we did that, Renee. We put
Yes,
MVA or
it was
something after the call
fabulous
name.
for us.
and maybe we can do that. So let me talk with Terry. She'll be the one taking the entries,
Oh, right,
and
right.
see if we can do that somehow through the reporting.
I think that would be
That'll make it
extremely
easier.
helpful.
And
Yeah,
it'll make it easier for you too to pick them out on the results.
exactly. Because if people can just look at the run list, you know, even if you don't end up having a conflict, just that they know you're an MVA person.
Yeah,
It was
because you can't
very
always get to
helpful
each
that
avenue.
year.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me see what I can do about that.
Okay. Thank you.
Good idea. Anything else, guys? Any other great suggestions?
One more question. Any thoughts about adding the dock jumping to MVA? Sorry. Curious.
I think dock
Moving
jumping,
on. Okay, got it.
yeah, dock jumping is a different set of skills. Next. But I hope this was helpful for everyone. You know, and we are here, Janet and I and Jan Wiesen, all of us are here. We understand how this works and how it's supposed to work. Let us know what questions kind of pop into your head between now and nationals. I hope everybody can join us Sunday night at nationals when we are just getting started there. We're going to have a presentation a lot like this. I've put together a score sheet that you can work up your own score and just carry it with you. So, you know, if you guys want to come and figure out how to score it yourself, all good. But I really appreciate all of you calling in, the great questions, and just let us know if you need anything else and what other questions you have.
Thank you, Renee. Very good presentation.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Renee, for all your time.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Renee.